Good evening. My name is Mary Hargis, and I want to welcome you to First Presbyterian Church. We are so happy to have you with us tonight for a look at what is happening in Ogden, Weber County to care for the least among us. Our congregation's mission team has been focusing on homelessness in the last few years. This year, they challenged the congregation to hand make scarves, as Cheryl told you in the other room. This is the result all the way around. We are so excited that we have had such a great response to this much needed mission project. I would like to introduce you to the panel for tonight's discussion and our moderator. So starting on my left is Raquel DeSilva from Family Promise. We have been involved with this organization from its early days in Ogden, pre- and post-pandemic. Raquel is the executive director for Family Promise of Ogden for 21 years. Wow. And she has had the opportunity to work for many worthwhile organizations, helping those in dire need. She holds a bachelor's degree in business administration and a master's in mental health counseling. She is also a national certified counselor. Next to her is someone I know very well. Her name is Ruth Brockman, and she's from the Seager Memorial Clinic. Ruth started her nursing career in Ogden at McCady Hospital. She quickly rose through the ranks to supervisor, head nurse, then director of heart services, and then after getting her MBA into administration. In 1988, she and two other nurses were invited to lunch by Dr. Floyd Seager, and he asked for their help in getting a homeless medical clinic off the grounds. So in 1988, they started. Ruth kept working as a volunteer in that position until she retired in 2011, upon which time she became the executive director of the Seager Clinic. She worked in that position until 2020 before handing it over to Jerica Mays, the current leader, and she now serves on the board of directors. Next to Ruth is Alyssa Jackson, a last-minute addition to our panel tonight. Alyssa is from the Lantern House, and as many of you know, that's the homeless shelter kitchen on 33rd Street and Wall Avenue here in Ogden. And she works very closely with the other people present. The last two panel members are Chris Duran and Nancy Griggs, and they are the homeless advocates who are working out of the Ogden Police Department. Are both of you social workers? I know Nancy is.
And as a social worker, we're both case managers.
Okay, all right. They also have another advocate that works with them, Anna Davidson, who has a much-needed night off tonight. And Anna and Nancy are the women who saw a need in this community and followed that calling. In the advocate role, they work to make connections with the homeless population on the street and in the camps and cars that shelter them, connecting them to help in the community with their many needs. They are truly the heart and soul of the effort to assist the homeless in Ogden, Weber County. And that brings me to our moderator for the evening, one of my favorite people, our pastor, John Draskovic. He came to this church in January of 2020. And you all know what happened in March of 2020, right? John was brave. He held church on YouTube and kept in touch by phone and emails during the pandemic. And when we were finally able to return to worship, he helped us focus on who we are and what we are called to do. It has resulted in an outward-looking purpose of serving the community we live in, and this project tonight is a direct result of his leadership and the vision of the church to be a blessing to the community. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Mary. Yeah. And so there's, before I get going, I just want to let you know Mary Hargis here and Cheryl Brown over here, among many others, but these two women in particular are really the driving impulse behind you all being here tonight, and the art installation and getting to participate experientially with the lives of those who live without homes. And I want to say thank you for what you've done in making this happen. So thank you so much. And a lot of you, there's many of you here who are part of the church, and you already know this, but for those of you who are not, I'm going to brag because one of these scarves belongs to me. That white one right over there. And I'm not going to tell you how long it took me to make that scarf. Okay, I was gonna moderate from down there, but I thought maybe it'd be a little easier for those who may be joining us from the live stream if I join you from the pulpit. Okay, so we're going to try to keep this to 50 minutes, and there are 5 of you, so if we would just try to be concise as we can. First, I'd like you to just go around the table here and tell us within just a few minutes how it is, what it is that you do to aid the population of Ogden that lives without homes, what it is that you do professionally, and how it is that you're engaging with this population.
My name is Raquel DeSilva, and I'm the Executive Director of Family Promise of Ogden. And we are a shelter for homeless families with minor children. Our main purpose is not just to provide shelter for families, but also to teach them how to be independent, how to learn on not continuing their life as homeless, and go back to a life of structure and a stable life, not only for them, but for the children. We know that homelessness can be generational, so we try to cut their homelessness time as possible.
Thank you.
Hi, Mary gave you my name. I'm Ruth Brockman, and I've been with the Seager Clinic since its inception in 1988. And we are a free, easy access, non-judgmental, charitable medical, dental, eye clinic. So we've been in operation a long time. People just come and sign up. About 40% of our patients are homeless, and the others are without insurance or underinsured, and they just need medical attention. We run several specialty clinics that are really needed for this population, such as dental. I mean, even some that have insurance don't have dental coverage, and they really need it, especially if they're going to try and find work. You need to have some teeth usually. We do eye, and again, it's really hard to work if you can't see, and so we give free glasses and do eyes. So a lot of that isn't covered by insurance, even if they did have insurance. I guess the thing that separates us is that we do free medications as well, and patients walk out the door with the medicines that they need.
Thank you, Ruth. Alyssa?
So I am Alyssa Jackson. I'm from the Lantern House. My title is Administrative Assistant. And the Lantern House exists to help the poor and the needy by providing food, shelter, and critical emergency services. And we like to say we provide a hand up rather than a hand out. And we house men, women, and children, as well as their pets.
Thank you, Alyssa. And Chris and Nancy, I'll let you guys answer together.
Yeah, sure. I'm Chris Duran. I'm the newest HSA member. I'll let Nancy kind of talk more about the specifics of how special the program is, but we work directly with the police in Ogden to address homelessness on the streets.
Mm-hmm. And my name is Nancy Griggs. I'm also a homeless advocate along with Chris. And we have adopted a trauma-informed approach to meet the individual where it's at, and we go out on outreach and find them in cars. We find individuals in parks. We find them along the river. We have officers refer individuals to us, and we meet the client where they're at to take care of their immediate need, whether that be using crisis de-escalation tactics, or it be giving them something as like food, or even just a listening ear. And then we work from there to put together an individualized case plan to see what we can do to connect people to different resources, whether it be housing, mental health, substance use disorder facilities, whatever the individual needs, we meet them where they're at to do that, and then walk them through the process.
Okay, thank you. Now, the next question I have for you all is educational for those of us who are gathered here. We know conceptually that the population that we're talking about right now, those who are living in our midst, who live unhoused, are a heterogeneous population. They are not a monolith. But we don't necessarily know, because we're not working with this population all the time, what that means. And this is not for anyone in particular, but I encourage you all, if you'd like to participate in the answer here, who are the folks that we're talking about? Who is it that you're seeing? What do they look like? What's this population makeup?
I can answer. I think that very often, especially, and it happened to all of us, I think that people have a certain idea of what homeless is, or what homelessness mean. And as we work with different people, we understand that these are humans that are experiencing homelessness. So one of the first things that we tell them, we tell our clients when they come to Family Promise, is that you are a human being of worth, and you are experiencing homelessness. We see families, and they can be your next door neighbor that were living paycheck to paycheck, and you didn't know until they're not longer there, and you wonder what happened, where did they go? These amazing humans have a lot of very sad stories, often women that didn't have any preparation, they get divorced, and then they can no longer support their household on their own, and so they're forced to be living in their cars and in different places. And so I like to think of the people experiencing homelessness as your next door neighbor. They do have a lot of trauma and a lot of shame. Actually, children that are experiencing homelessness, 89% of the children experience homelessness. They also develop high anxiety. They're worried about what something bad is going to happen to their family. And they do not want to tell anyone that they're homeless because they're ashamed of their situation. One of the things that we do at Family Promise is that we encourage our volunteers to bring their own kids to normalize their situation. So you can see single people, families, diversified group of people, yes.
Kind of to go off that as well. It's a diverse of people within our community. It's a wide variety of different people, whether it could be a mother, a father, a sister, a brother. And most of them have been impacted by a variety of life challenges. Everyone is just one life incident away from being homeless. Whether it be trauma, mental health issues, substance use factors, they're complex and multifaceted. Really, there's no one size fits all to somebody who's unsheltered. It differs across. We all see different individuals too. Some of us focus on families. Some of us only see individuals. Some of us, I know there's agencies that only see children. So there's a wide variety of different population that we all see. Sorry.
I heard mention of trauma-informed earlier.
Yes.
What are some of the traumas that we're talking about that cause people to find themselves in life situations where they need you all to gather around them to support them and lift them up?
It could be something, well, trauma is different to everybody. Everybody views trauma as something different. And, it could be something, a childhood trauma. It could be they were assaulted. It could be abuse. There could be a number of different factors that go into trauma because everybody views it differently. It could be adult trauma. It could be relationship trauma. Somebody coming from domestic violence. Somebody who is sex trafficked. Like, we see all of that, and they just don't know how to deal with it, because homelessness is not the issue. It's a symptom of a much larger issue. It's a symptom of something that happened to you, or something, a mental health issue, or something along those lines. That's where homelessness comes from.
And I would add that being homeless simply in itself is a trauma, I believe. Your day-to-day life is out of your control in some aspects. You're told when to eat, where to go, where to sleep, and so I think we all collectively try to approach that in mind and give these individuals a chance to share their stories with us, and it gives us the opportunity to help them too.
I know, at least for myself, day-to-day life sometimes feels out of my own control. And I can't even imagine if I was moving from place to place night after night, trying to keep track of my life. Yeah. Yes?
I'd like to add something. At Family Promise, one of the things that we do is we help them get back into that structure. And so our whole program is designed to help them have that normalcy back into their lives. And so we try to do things like, for example, when a family comes to us, we will have them at 8, they start working with a case manager, 8 a.m. They come to the night shelter at 5:15. It's usually what you would do if you have an 8 to 5 job. And every single task is designed to bring them back from that crisis mode into, I remember how taking my kids to school was. I remember how it is that after a long day of work, you come home and there's a warm meal. Because, like they said, that trauma confused them. They're not longer thinking in a logical state. They're mostly in fight and flight response.
And Ruth, Alyssa, I'm curious.
At the Lantern House, one of the things is, we deal with all sorts of types of trauma, from 80 years old to 3 years old. And so they are in fight or flight. And so you have to take a step back and realize that they may be upset at you in that moment, but they're in fight or flight mode. And so if we can provide them somewhere safe to sleep, a meal for that day, and like Nancy said, a listening ear, it can help create a more welcoming, opening environment for them to get back on track.
So the one thing I think of when we're talking to some of the homeless is the comments we get of compassion, and them not feeling that they're human, like you said. In the healthcare industry, we often provide touch. I'll touch your hand, and these folks are saying, nobody's touched me. They just feel so embarrassed and downtrodden, and to give them the compassion, and they just are so appreciative. The comments that we get from some of our patients is that we're doing God's work.
Mm. So you stole my thunder, Ruth. I was going to close this conversation with saying what you are doing, at least from my perspective, is ministry. Mm-hmm. It is sacred and holy work. So thanks, Ruth. One of the things that I've realized in my life, being in a kind of ministry capacity, I bump into folks without homes, and even the language I've tried to work on my own, rather than the homeless, talking about people who don't have homes, people who are unhoused, putting the people part first. Because one of the things that I've heard from those who are really on the front lines, like you all are, is just the dignity that is robbed of
Yes.
those who are living a life where society, you're an outcast on the margins, and be able to offer human dignity, just to say you are a valuable human being of worth, just because your life is like this does not rob that from you, which is a religious conviction that I know many of our traditions share. So I'm just curious if that's been something reflected in your experience as well.
I definitely think telling people, that they're worthy. I hear that a lot. Like, I'm not worthy of medical care. I'm not worthy of working with a case manager. And I will say I've worked a lot with like our older population, and they'll say that. Well, I worked, my whole life, and I'm not worthy anymore of my kids' love, or my kids don't talk to me. But a smile goes a long way, or learning their names, saying hi. You may notice that they are homeless by the way they dressed, or by the way, unfortunately, they may not have access to hygiene, so they may have a smell, but a simple smile, hello, how are you, really can change their entire day.
George Valiant, one of the fathers of counseling, said that if you would like to heal any mental health, you first heal them with hope. And I think that a lot of these families and individuals that are homeless have lost the hope that they can do it, or they can regain that stability. And for us at Family Promise, our volunteers are volunteers from different faiths bring into the stage not just their work that they do, but their beliefs, their love, their hands, and it does provide them that dignity. They do feel loved. One of the problems that we have at Family Promise is that when it's time to go, they don't want to go. They feel loved. They feel protected. I had a client that was crying, and she had an apartment all set up, and she had a job, and so the case manager came and got me, and she said she's crying, she doesn't want to go. So when I brought her into my office and we started talking, she said, yes, but the volunteers are with us at nighttime, and who's going to be watching while I sleep? It had never occurred to me that to have those volunteers watching over her provided for her the ability to actually just fall asleep and sleep through the night. And so I think that kind of love and strength in our community is what is really healing our neighbors.
And I know that you know this, but there are people sitting out in front of you who've spent nights being those who watch over. Could you all tell us, what are we doing in our community? What are you all doing to serve, to lift up the folks whose life has spiraled out of their control and find themselves in this situation? Just so that we all know what's out there and what collectively we can participate in helping this group of people.
There's a lot of different agencies that are within our community that are helping those that are living unsheltered. We have, us here, the Lantern House, Seager Clinic, Family Promise, Youth Futures, Homeless Veterans Fellowship, Ogden Rescue Mission, but there are so many different agencies within our community that are working together to bring, there's a lot of different
Well, I can help you.
Thank you.
I love Ogden, Utah. If you're in need, this is the place to be.
Yeah.
Because, like Nancy was saying, we're not just partners. We actually help each other. For example, if I have a client in need of glasses, they definitely gonna go to Seager Clinic. Lantern House send us clients. Very often the case managers will call and say, we have a family that Family Promise will be a better place for them. or vice versa. We will send clients to them because we cannot take animals or we cannot take single individuals. With the advocates, we rely on the advocates. Every time we have an opening, the first people we call is the advocates. So the wonderful thing about Ogden, Utah is that there's a village here working together.
Yes.
And we actually like each other.
So we have about 250 volunteers, a lot of providers, MDs, DOs, nurse practitioners, nurses, pharmacists. We are a Class A pharmacist. We're the only free clinic in Utah that actually provides prescription medication to patients. And what the others have found is they can write a prescription or call it into Walgreens or whatever. The patients don't show up because they don't have money to pay even $5 for the medicine. So we feel like compliance is so much higher when they can walk out of the building with their prescription in hand. I agree 100% that we all work together. Ogden is a wonderful community. We've been in the rescue mission now for 35 years, and we have about 700 square feet. And on any clinic day, there may be 15 volunteers, and the patients and everybody's kind of, going down the hall, trying to pass each other in the hall. We're really crammed. We were so fortunate to get a building on 24th Street that we're renovating, and we hope to open in April, maybe of next year, 10 times the size of what we are now. We work really closely with Midtown Clinic. We'll be only a few blocks away from Midtown Clinic. Midtown Clinic is a sliding scale fee, and whereas we're completely free, we don't bill insurance, we don't do any of that. We had a capital campaign of $2.5 million to renovate this building, and we've met our goal. That's Ogden. That is Ogden. And our executive director now is phenomenal. I mean, she's great. I hope y'all come to our open ribbon cutting because it's going to be a wonderful building, and we're just excited to go to the next step on that one.
Ruth, you just let us know when and where.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
I just like that. I think the communication, even as simple as we have an overabundance of hygiene and, maybe Family Promise is in need of that. Or Seager Clinic, there's a thing called the pit count where all the agencies come together, volunteer, and we go out and we count the homeless in the early mornings to get data for the state. And Seager Clinic so generously puts kits together for the advocates to my left or volunteers to hand out to those that we speak to. And so I think the open communication between all the agencies in Ogden and the community support of all those agencies really helps us be able to help those who are homeless.
So what's been kind of under the surface for me, and I'm guessing many of you, because you're here, you care enough to come out on a Friday night and spend it this way, finding out what's going on in our neighborhood and in our community. What can we do? Just the average person, we're not trained social workers. We don't work for one of your agencies that's doing this great work. But what can we do? What can our faith communities do? What can the average citizen in Ogden do to help?
I guess, first of all, I would like to say this is just amazing. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you for that. I mean, these sorts of things are just, they're gold to the people that need them. They need gloves, they need socks, they need scarves, they need hats. In the wintertime, it's great. And you can see them, they're pretty excited to get these items. Hygiene items, like what we talked about, are always in need. Volunteers, if you in your congregation have any pharmacists, farm techs, dentists, we always need those things, case managers, that kind of thing. Those kinds of volunteers we're always looking for. So if you have them in your congregation, tell them to call us.
We actually have, so at the police department, we have a bunch of hygiene kits. They include gloves, they include hats, hand warmers, toothbrush, and then they have a little snack in them. And our officers hand those out to individuals that they come in contact with while they're on duty. We have individuals come into the station that we hand those out to them, and they've been such a huge help with helping those that are experiencing homelessness.
Your $10 meal cards are also very, very helpful.
Yes, we were actually able to get a grant that we were able to get food cards, and we were able to go and purchase food. So when we have somebody come in to the station or somebody that's in crisis with an officer, we just usually ask, when's the last time that you've eaten? And if we'll either get a food card for them, it's $10 from McDonald's, or we'll get them a little bowl of mac and cheese or just something that they can eat. That's been such a huge help, worth working with these individuals.
Without getting too religious, in the Bible, there's a wonderful story that is one of my favorites. It's about this man that is very sick and is on his bed, and a group of friends bring him to where Jesus was to be healed. And there's a lot of people, so they cannot go through all that amount of people. And so these volunteers could have said, well, you know, we did what we could. We brought you up to here. Too bad you couldn't see him. But they didn't do that. They thought outside the box. They climb on top of the roof. They make a hole in the roof, and they lower their friend down. And this is our experience at Family Promise with our volunteers. That's what our volunteers do. And I love it because, like you said, many of you have helped with Family Promise, and I see those miracles that you provide for us, the healing. You don't need to be a case manager or a doctor, or actually, what a wonderful thing that you're not, because as case manager, we have to maintain our distance. But you can give that extra touch, that extra hug to say, look, this wonderful meal that we have prepared for you, we're coming here to spend the night to help you feel safe. Some of our families, they have never had food like they have at Family Promise. And we don't cook at Family Promise.
Worse, huh?
All the food that we have comes from our volunteers, and they're amazing. We have volunteers that are smoking the meat. It's just such an amazing and healing power. So when you ask, well, what can we do? I think that when you have a willing heart, there's always a place where you can make a difference, you know? And I think we all benefit from our volunteers. At Family Promise, we say that we are successful because of the people that come and volunteer with us.
So I'm gonna take off my moderator hat real quick and put on my pastor hat. And because you go reference the Bible, and I can't help. But that story is one where the friends, it's the friend's work and the friend's faith that heals the man. Jesus says, son, your sins are forgiven because of what your friends have done. It didn't have anything to do with that guy. And just think about that for a second. He is saved. He is healed because of what those around him did on his behalf. That's part of the power that we have as the community here. We have the power to heal and save those with our actions. Okay, I'm putting my moderator hat back on.
If I could just add, and I think just simply reminding people in the community, because, I mean, those who are homeless, I think a lot of people have a very negative connotation of who they are, but reminding everyone that they are human. No matter what choices, you've made in your past, it doesn't need to define your future. And so helping spread the word that they are people. They do deserve to be told that they're worthy. Reminding people to give back, to donate, not just it doesn't have to be in food or money, but just in time, or like I said earlier, a simple smile of how are you, and not avoiding them on the street like there's something, like they have the plague or something like that. Just treating them like they are a normal everyday neighbor that you have.
I know we have a few people. So we have one individual that they come into the station every day, and all they want to do is just talk to somebody. And it could be as simple as that, just talking to somebody, getting to know them, just letting them, just listening to them is so huge for them, because a lot of, we all need somebody that we can talk to, and a lot of the times somebody who is unsheltered doesn't get to talk to very many people. So if you encounter someone, like maybe just listening could be something as simple as that.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I'm kind of hesitant to ask, but I think it's pertinent to this conversation, because we all, walking around downtown, driving, you're going in and out of Walmart, you bump into folks who are holding up signs, and you're always confronted with this conundrum of, what do I do? You know, what's the right thing to do here? I've got little kids, and so one of the things that we came up with is, we made little brown paper bags, and they put some things in there, and a $5 bill, and a granola bar, and a bottle of water, and then we get to go up and say, here, this is for you, and I don't know if that's helpful or not. So this is kind of a genuine question to you all. How do we handle those circumstances? I'm hearing, just acknowledge folks. Hey, how you doing? How's your day going? You doing okay? But, in terms of a response, a material response.
I think that that's a wonderful thing, to go and do something for that one person. Also, all of our organizations do receive and request donations. And sometimes your $10 donation every month will benefit a lot of people. For example, I know Lantern House, they take donation, and of course the Seager Clinic and the Advocates. You may say, well, $10 doesn't do a lot of good, but those $10, Nancy can buy a $10 meal for someone that she found on the street. You may be a little bit concerned about, well, should I hand him this person? But then Nancy has built a relationship, the Advocates have built a relationship with the people that see in the street.
So who are the people who eat lunch at Lantern House?
Anyone in the community in need. They don't have to be staying at the shelter. We have families who have either stayed at Family Promise, and now they still, don't have enough income to provide 3 meals a day for themselves. But anybody in the community in need is welcome to eat the 3 hot meals a day. And to answer the pastor's question, I think helping people know about the resources, asking them, have you heard of the Advocates? Have you heard of Lantern House? Do you need the address? Or, providing resources, or just reminding them that they are worthy. And I know all of us keep touching on that, but some of them who are sitting out there with a sign, they may have left the Lantern House, or they may have not wanted to reach out to the Advocates because they don't feel worthy. And so they're just sitting out there, they want 1 meal, and they think that that's the answer, and it's not a long-term solution.
And come to our organizations, come and ask us for some flyers. And as you are about and you want to give them a $5, give them a $5 and one of our flyers, so they also have the resource that they need.
If I could add to that, if you are giving, a $5 donation to the Lantern House, or if you're donating a can of corn or something, they're not just getting the corn and leaving. They come in, they get to meet a case manager. The case manager will end up housing them. It's a domino effect, If you donate some socks to Nancy to give out, she's gonna use that socks to get somebody an apartment, to get somewhere permanent for them to go. It's not just your amazing donation, it's also the future for them. It's a way for us to start a conversation with these individuals.
Yeah.
That's a great point. It acts as a multiplier almost to open the door to a lot of other needs and services.
There's individuals that sometimes they are resistant to starting to get service because they've been through this process so many times, and it hasn't worked out, or for whatever reason they haven't followed through, or whatever's going on. But then giving them that corn or warming up a bowl of mac and cheese for them or getting them a cheeseburger from McDonald's, that's definitely like a, hey, let's try it this way this time. And then they seem to be more apt to like want to work with you.
Okay, so I want to leave some time for questions here as well. So if you do have a question, Mary's got a microphone. So I see Steph already has one. And Mary will bring the microphone to you just so that everybody who's watching at home can hear it as well.
There's probably some things that we shouldn't do. For instance, give them a ride somewhere. We probably shouldn't put them in our car and take them to McDonald's. Correct?
Well, I would recommend. I mean, I don't know how every agency is, but at least I know for sure the Lantern House and OPD, we are mobile. I would recommend calling us, and we can come out to your friends that you've got. So.
I really want to know more about what you actually do as advocates. I mean, are you out beating the bushes looking for people? Do they have to come in? You talked about folks coming into the station and helping them there, but can you describe exactly what you do and how you meet their needs and get them involved?
Yeah, absolutely. So we come in and we do street outreach. So we can start off our morning by going into parking lots at Walmart or Winco or going to parks like Jefferson Park, Lester Park, just within our community. And we find individuals. We ask them how they're doing, if there's anything we can do to assist, and then we meet them where they're at in that moment. So a lot of the times individuals, they do want to engage with us. They want to start on housing, so we'll connect them to Ogden Housing Authority or Weaver Housing Authority, and we'll walk them through that process. Or maybe they want substance use treatment, then we'll connect them to Weaver Recovery Center or Odyssey House in Salt Lake or whatever the case may be, and we'll walk them through the system. The main thing that we do is we walk through the system with them, because a lot of the times transitioning from homelessness, it can be challenging, it can be difficult. And when you have barriers in the way, it can make it even more difficult. And so what we do is we walk them through the entire process with them until they're successful.
If I'm on a bike ride or a run on the Ogden River Parkway, and it's in the morning, and I bump into some folks, do I call OPD and say, hey, could you send an advocate down to the bridge over here? I think there's some folks who could use some contact.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, you simply call dispatch. We'll get the homeless advocates out there along with an officer. And we do get officer referrals too. A lot of the times that's how we get our referrals, is officers are out patrolling and they find somebody and they dispatch us out.
Cheryl?
Could you tell us more about the Code Blue project, the status of it?
Yes. I actually brought notes
That
on
sounds like you threw a
I'm glad
softball
Nancy
there.
has that.
You have no idea how ready she was for that question.
I was so ready for
She
that.
worked so hard on this.
Okay, so House Bill 421 is about Code Blue. So I'm going to actually read this from, if you want to find out more about Code Blue, you can go to endutahhomelessness.org too. They also have a map to show when our county will be in Code Blue. So Code Blue means it's a weather event in which a National Weather Service predicts temperatures of 18 degrees Fahrenheit or less, and that includes wind chill or any other extreme weather conditions established in rules made by the Department of Health and Human Services. So yes.
I'm hearing impaired. Would you speak into the microphone?
Oh, yes, sorry. Yes, so when we are in Code Blue, when it's 18 degrees or below, in Weber County and Salt Lake County in the state of Utah, they call the Division of Health and Human Services calls a Code Blue. And so that's where shelters, they expand areas in the shelters so that way more people can go into the shelter. I think it's 50 additional.
50, yes, I believe.
50 additional beds that are available in the shelter. So, hold on, sorry. I'm gonna. So, Code Blue is pretty much the status of Code Blue is that they can't turn people. That's where officers and that's where people encourage everybody to go to the Lantern House. They expand it so 50 more individuals can go there, and they don't turn anybody away.
Is that sufficient for the homeless?
50 extra beds? Or is that what you're asking?
Yes, I'm asking.
50 is great. We would always accept more. But 50 is definitely a great number to begin with, where it's, you know, a newer process. But I don't think we've quite hit the extra 50 to capacity yet, but we do get close.
The statute does state that Weber County, every county does need to have an additional warming center, which Weber County is currently working on getting an additional warming center of 100 beds.
That's what I was going to ask. Is Lantern House the only facility that can accommodate people under a code blue, or do we have other buildings or structures that can house people when it gets that cold?
So that's actually a work in process. Like I said, it is required for Weber County to have an additional warming center. We are looking for a center right now that will fit at least 100 individuals.
What's your relationship with the two school districts? I'm assuming Ogden District, Weber District, with children that are arriving, you know, they're not registered in the schools. Are there particular schools you take them to, or?
Yes.
What's that relationship?
Where we are in Odyssey, I believe it's Mount Ogden Junior High and Ogden High School. They do accept those students that we have at the Lantern House. It is a requirement that if they are of school age, that they do need to be attending school during the day.
It's the same thing for Family Promise, and very often the school advocates will come to Family Promise to help the families fill out the paperwork.
We're starting to kind of tread into the realm of local politics. And so I'm wondering how Ogden and Weber County local politics plays into this issue. And I don't want to put anybody's job on the line here, right? But, you know, can you help us understand how we can advocate on behalf of folks who have found themselves in these situations? I know, for example, there's a local homelessness council, right? Mm-hmm. Yes. Maybe that's one place to start.
Well, I can tell you that our local homeless council works wonderful. We all work together. There's a lot of organizations that come together, and you may say, well, there's a lot of people that working on this issue. Some of the things that we struggle with is, this is not just Family Promise, but it's in general, is monetary support. So we do wonders with the little bit of money that we get, and it's all of us. So very often to say, okay, you know, how can we encourage leaders to really put attention to the issue of homelessness and help us with the funds that we need. So, you know, we have what we need to do our work. For example, the grant that Nancy was talking about for the meals, at least on the one that I'm aware, it was just $1,000, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, this is like quilting. We do quilting. We're really good quilters. So we put little patches here and there of money to make this beautiful quilt. So, you know, we need more support. For example, with the Code Blue, it's been horrible to try to find a building, and for lack of trying. And we continue our effort, and very often, like, I forgot your name.
Alyssa.
Like,
Alyssa.
Alyssa said, you know, very often Lantern House will call Family Promise and say, hey, we have extra hygiene kits, do you want some? Or vice versa. Because we all know that we don't have enough funding. Mm-hmm. Family Promise computers that we use for our clients came as a donation from YCC. And so funding is one of the things that we all struggle with. and it does makes our jobs very difficult.
Yeah.
So I've
Suzanne?
lived here for 43 years, and I came from Oregon in 1981, and it appears to me that all of the meaningful work is done by volunteers or outside agencies. What the heck is Ogden City sitting on their hands for and not really giving cold hard cash to this problem?
Well,
I can't really speak about the cold hard cash, but I would say me and Nancy, I mean, being city employees, you know, is a step in showing that Ogden City is interested in ending homelessness. You know.
I mean, I would say definitely, like she was saying, finding a building. It's not that Ogden City hasn't been involved in helping us find a building. There's just such strict criteria. And I mean, the Lantern House, it has to be at least a mile away from the Lantern House, has to have fire suppression, certain amount of square feet, certain amount of bathrooms. So finding those really tight restrictions, finding a building that fits all of those qualifying things and is in an area that is suitable for transportation and everything like that. It's a tough thing to find.
And honestly, it needs to not be in Ogden City because we have the Lantern House in Ogden City. Like, this is a community issue. So it needs to be a community resolution. We need to have more we need to have more people involved that are outside of Ogden City, Roy, West Haven, people within Weber County to try and resolve this issue with the building.
Marcia? And then Dot.
So I know down in Salt Lake City, there's a large homeless population of school-age children and high schoolers. And I know that West and East High have started pantries and food pantries, clothing pantries, things like that for them. And so you referred to kind of counting the homeless population here in the area periodically. Is there kind of a general breakdown of men, women, teenagers, children, even pets, that we might be able to determine how we might help?
So the pit count, it's on NUtahHomelessness.org, right? Yeah, so the pit count results is on NUtahHomelessness.org. They have every year's pit count, so you can see and it's divided up in counties, so Weber County, Salt Lake County, so you can see. And what the pit count is it's the 3 coldest nights, projected coldest nights of the year. That's where we go out and we count individuals. But that pit count number is off because that doesn't count people who are couch surfing, people who are just those 1-3 nights went and got a motel room, or that only counts people who are in shelter and out inside the community. So you could take that number and it's more than likely going to be a lot more than that.
But also to address your question, we have one of the segments that is the fastest growing segment in homelessness is families. And so Ogden School District as well as Davis School District, they're also implementing youth centers within the school to assist their homeless youth. There's a lot of unaccompanied youth everywhere. And so I think that they're doing a wonderful job in addressing this issue. Also, Commissioner Bolos, she's in charge of the local homeless council. It's one of our biggest advocates and has been working tirelessly to resolve the issues, to be involved, so she has done amazing.
Ruth?
I was just asking one of the members here if Rosemary Lesser had won her area, and I don't know for sure if she has. She has? Oh, my gosh, thank you. Thank you. So Rosemary has been a huge advocate.
Absolutely.
And she's done a lot for those school centers where they can wash their clothes and get some food and get some. And she's also been a major champion for the Seager Clinic and many others, YCC, many others. So thank you. Thank you, Rosemary. She has been awesome.
Yes, she has.
Thank you. Di, and this will be our last question just because of the time.
I have a question going back to the to the Homeless Council. I looked it up online just now, and it said there are 13 in the state, and ours is the Weber-Morgan Homeless Council. And you've mentioned Commissioner Bolas, our Weber County Commissioner, that serves on it. Who else serves on it? And is that an advocacy opportunity for people like us in the community that we can maybe get involved with them, talk to them?
Anyone
with
can
them?
attend.
Okay.
The local council is formed by the homeless providers. So we meet together as a team to figure out how can we help each other, support each other, and advocate. So that those are the nonprofit agencies that help homeless, are the voting members. But anyone can come and participate and be informed.
And that was a pretty quick answer. So Karen had a question. If we still have the microphone, we'll get it over to her. Well, just so people can hear who are watching. Yeah.
So this is something I've been working with for almost 35 years. So the question that Suzanne had about where's the city, where's the county in all of this financially. Ogden City receives between $5 and $6 million a year from HUD for a variety of things under community and economic development, but they are not providing any funding for dealing with homelessness, and they are not providing really any funding to deal with affordable housing. That's the truth. They actually have a line item in the budget right now, the HUD budget, under the current 5-year plan, which is the last year of the 5-year plan right now, for just over $3 million a year to build approximately 8 homes for people who could afford a home at $400,000, okay? So here's an opportunity we have, okay? We're coming up on a new 5-year plan. The advocacy period runs essentially January through April. So contact your city council members, if you're an Ogden City resident, and talk to them about this. I work with Cottages of Hope, which is another organization that all of you work with, and talk to your city council members and say, I want to see that money spent to, number 1, address homelessness, number 2, actually address affordable housing. And what Cottages of Hope does is provides financial and employment coaching for people so they can afford the housing that they're in. So they're big time players in homelessness prevention. And that's where we need to focus as well. Thank you.
Well, and a lot of what we've been talking about tonight is the proverbial pulling people out of the river. And then there's that whole other question of how do we keep people from falling into the river? Yeah, which is a conversation for a different evening. So I just want to say thank you to our panelists for joining us this evening. Thank you for the work that you do. As we said earlier, it is a ministry. It is sacred and holy work. And I think everybody is here tonight because they see it as such. So if you see little halos here, you'll understand why. And thank you to all of you who cared enough to come out on a Friday night and when you would have been down on 25th Street at the bars, I know, to come here and learn more about how we advocate on behalf of those without homes. Special thank you to the 2 gentlemen in the back who made our live stream happen, Lachlan, and our sound, John Gilchrist. Thank you to Sergeant Fisher for our personal security detail tonight. Thank you again to Cheryl and to Mary for making this happen, and everybody who helped with the refreshments, and thank you to Suzanne for sharing your artwork with us. Cheryl?
Also, there are some jars of honey for all of you as you first come for
Friends, go in peace to love and serve the Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
So good to see you. That was fun.
Hey guys, thank you. You did great. Don't worry. Don't worry. Oh no, right? And you start immediately sweating. I should have told you up front that you were on the camera the whole time. Maybe that would have helped. Thank you so much. This was great. Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure. Raquel, as always, good to see you. Thank you.